All right, so this is a little walkthrough of the different components of the chair. So to start, we're gonna talk about the back of the chair. This is how it latches. So you can see it has a little latching mechanism to remove it on both sides. You just flip the latch up, make sure it's not locked. You can kind of spin it around so that this part is hitting against the back. That's kind of how it locks and unlocks to move this back and forward. So for both sides, the entire chair rotates on this gear system, and it will only work if this is completely unlocked. So to unlock it, you have to flip this to a 90-degree angle. And another thing about this is that when you are moving the components, what can happen is it can either be too tight or too loose. So in order to tighten this entire system right here, you just rotate it to the right. So righty tighty, lefty loosey, or counterclockwise for tight, counterclockwise for loosen. So if I wanted to tighten this system while it was unhooked, like this, I could rotate it to the right to tighten it, to tighten the springs. Or if I want to loosen it, rotate it to the left. But you also have to make sure that the gears are threaded. So as you can see, as I rotate it to the left now, the entire thing gets looser. If I rotate it to the right, it gets a little tighter. And then to lock it, just put it back the way it was. So for the rudder pedal mount, this is kind of this little system down here. In order to move these, if you want to adjust how the rudders sit, all you have to do is loosen these here, and this will be able to move the actual mount. It kind of goes loose on both ways, so you can move the entire system. We don't really recommend moving it just yet, unless you have people with different leg sizes. So now you can move it, but if you move one, you're likely gonna have to move the other, because the pedals rely on a stopper on both, so the pedals sit on both of these, so you have to move both at the same time. And then to tighten it, just screw it back in the way it was. When you're transporting the pedals or the chair, you're going to have to move this to the other position, so it can sit, this part right here can sit either facing up like it is now or face down. To do that, you have these little latches here. All you have to do is press them in and remove it, rotate it around, and put them back on the other way. You might have to push in a little bit on one side. It is a little bit flexible, so don't worry about pressing it in, and then just push them back in until they latch. And then there's the pulley system on the other side as well. The entire chair is replicated on one side to the other side. You should not need to remove the joystick and throttle bases for the entire thing. Those should never move. And everything should be pretty modular. Good.
All right. Good morning. Here's an example of how to set up the portable simulator. When you go somewhere with it, you'll have three pieces. You'll have the pedals over there. You'll have the PC and all the electronics in the box, in the backpack case. Then you'll have a physical chair. We're going to show you how to do the chair first. We'll do it off the wall so it's easier to see. First, undo your strap. That way you can actually unfold. I would place your foot underneath, make sure this doesn't go anywhere. Unfold the back and try to latch it if you can on either side. And from here, on the side, the red spinny gears, if the latch is up and closed, that means it cannot turn. It has to be out, straight out at like a 180 degree. And from there, you can then twist the legs down to whatever angle you desire, get it roughly right, and then reclose your latch. Whenever you get that done, you can see the chair is actually a chair. From here, From there, now you have to bring the side pieces up so you can unlatch it again and bring them up so that they're at the upright position. The actual pedal bar needs to be flipped around because it's switched for moving things. So you undo the little knobs at the end, flip it over so it's 180-degree rotation. And throw it on. The last part, this is optional. I like to take the strap and attach it to the back leg. Wrap it through the red racing holes and buckle it and tighten it down because the chair has a tendency to wiggle, and this will give it a little less play in it. And the last piece to go in for the chair itself is the joystick. Now this is extremely important. The joystick has an arrow on it. The piece has an arrow on it as well. Line the arrows up. There are delicate pins in here that you can break if you don't put it in correctly.
Rotate it around.
Can I see that? Sure. See the arrow? Yeah, see the arrow.
Line
the arrows up. Sink it in. Twist on the silver buckle. And now you have a joystick. So this is how the chair is set up.
So all of your computer system hardware and the actual computer is going to be in this bag here. So just undo the bag and everything should be right in here. Your mouse and your keyboard should be at the top. Your computer and your monitor and your Oculus should be in the bag itself. The monitor will be in the box. The computer will be disconnected from everything and the Oculus will be in its own side. So from here, just take the monitor or the computer out, as well as the monitor, set the monitor to the side, and leave the Oculus in. And for now, your wires and cables will be in the front, so your actual extension cord will be in the front. It's 15 feet, so you have plenty of room. Your power cord and your Oculus Link cable, but you don't need that yet. Find your outlet of where you're plugging in your computer. Again, this is 15 feet, so you have plenty of room. Plug it in, set it off to the side. Make sure the computer sits somewhat close to the actual chair itself because the limitation for it is the wires on the joystick and the throttle. They're not very long, so they have to be somewhat close unless you get a USB extender later in the point of the life of the simulator. Set the computer next to the extension cord, plug in the power cord, and then plug in the cable in the back here to the power outlet. It should only go in one way. You might hear a little fan speed up as it powers on. From here, you're going to want to set up your monitor. Everything for the monitor is in the box. I recommend keeping it that way. The monitor acts as like a little tablet. We'll set that aside for now. In it is the power cord and the HDMI cable. So, power cord is a USB-C power cord. Plug that in to the outlet and then plug it into the one of two USB-C hubs on the side, just like that. And then the HDMI, the actual full HDMI will plug into the computer, which is the most farthest point on the side here of the graphics card. So this port right here, it kind of goes upside down. And then the mini HDMI will go into the monitor itself, just like that. And then you can unfold, and there's instructions on how to fold the monitor as you see fit. We'll just stick it like that, and as you can see, the monitor powers on. Next, grab your computer keyboard and mouse. Those are just standard USB. Those we recommend go in the back just of the 4 USBs in the back here. Just place it in any one. Keyboard and mouse. All right, now your keyboard and mouse is set up. Now you're gonna want to set up the Oculus and the actual throttle and joystick itself. So the Oculus doesn't have a wire as it is now, but we also have this cable here. The 90-degree angle one with the USB-C goes on the right side, or the left side of the Oculus, just like that. There's a port, and then you're gonna want to plug that in to the back, the USB to the back as well. Again, any of the 4 USB hubs, just like that. Then you can set that on the chair. Next, you're gonna take your pedals and just set them on the rudder mount itself. They just kind of sit there. There's rubber stoppers on the bottom, so you don't need to worry about them going anywhere. And these, for the joystick, the throttle, and the rudder pedals, those USBs will go into the front up here. There's 4 of them here too. Just plug that in there. Same thing for the rudder, or the throttle and the HOTAS. Just undo the cords. And you can see that these cables are not very far. Normally you'd want the front facing towards the chair, but for demonstration purposes, it's away. Just plug them in there. And now your computer is fully set up with all the cables plugged in. And from here you turn it on.
All right, so we're going to go over how to actually open up Microsoft Flight Simulator. First, you're going to go over here and open up Steam, let that load up. You can also open it from the Microsoft Flight Simulator desktop application you see right below Firefox. However, each method works, and it doesn't really matter either way. We prefer Steam, it's just a more streamlined way to do it. However, we're going to go over to your library once you get a second, and you're going to go down to the left side to Microsoft Flight Simulator and press the giant play button. And while this is loading up, I would suggest putting your Oculus on, and at this point getting that booted up, so making sure the Oculus cable is connected to both the PC and the Oculus. Turn the Oculus on, and at this point you should see a allow the PC to use the file, so allow the PC, and then it should say enable Quest link. And inside the Oculus, you'll see a gray, basically a white background, like a grid, 2 parallel planes, and you'll see no connection available on 3 windows. That's perfectly fine. That's totally normal because you're not going to have Wi-Fi when running the simulator at most recruiting events. And so once the Oculus is at that point, there's no need to touch anything else, and you're just waiting for the simulator boot up. If the Oculus is having issues with the Quest link, you can go to the Oculus app on the main screen of the PC desktop. It was down below Microsoft Flight Simulator. But now that we're up and running, we can go over here and we can take a look at the main menu. As you see in the bottom corner, the Oculus was recognized, so it's not a big issue. But we're going to go over to the world map, and so that way we can take a look. We're going to switch over to the Oculus, and that way you can see what it looks like, that gray background like I was talking about before. This is just making sure the VR mode is working. You enter this mode, you toggle from VR to non-VR by the gray switch on the side of the joystick on the top right. It should be facing out. It's pretty much by itself. But here we are. Usually we fly with the F-22 simply because the simulator is similar to it in structure, and also it's a fun plane. But once you're in the simulator, we can pick things like flight conditions and the base. We're going to take out of Andrews just because it's an Air Force base. However, for the majority of flights, please take them somewhere cool. Don't fly them over suburban, United States, eastern states. Take them to like Nepal or China or Japan. And you can go in here, you see some of the flight conditions that you can pick through. It doesn't really matter what these are. I would suggest something a little bit clearer for simulations, because it's kind of cool to look at the ground. And if you pick a really cloudy thing, they're not going to be ready. But once you're ready to go and you pick your runways, go over there and press fly. And we're going to switch back into the Oculus mode after we're confirmed that it's loading up. And so once you switch back to the Oculus mode, here it is. You can see it loading. And from here, what you're going to do is pretty much just kind of wait. You can have one of the Oculus controllers in your hand, and then you're going to see a prompt that says ready to fly. You can either switch back to the PC and click it with the mouse, or you can click it with the controller. And from here, you should be ready to roll. At this point, there is a little black pedal called a pinky paddle on the bottom of the joystick. Click it and it'll center the view into the person's head, into the headset when they're wearing it. So it's very important to do this whenever you have a new person use a simulator, because everyone's sitting height and where they are is a little different, and it can be a little bit wonky. For example, if you have someone very short and then someone very tall, they may be sitting outside the plane if you're not ready for it. But overall, this is how to use Microsoft Flight Simulator. Please go through and look up some more settings and stuff so you can get familiarized with the program.
All right, so basically to turn on the PC, the first thing you want to do is just unplug all of your cords. So all of your USBs on the front and in the back, as well as the HDMI and the power cable. Be careful with the power cable, it does take a little bit of movement to get it undone. Next, you're going to want to undo the cables attached to the monitor. Fold the monitor back to its full tablet case cover. Just like that. Set that aside. Unplug the monitor power cord and wrap it up. And grab the HDMI cord as well. You're going to want to put those in the bottom of the box here. The HDMI can go in this little box on the side. And the power cord can go here. Next, you're going to take the little foam pad, place it back on top, and then take your monitor and just set it in there nice and snug. Now your monitor's back where it needs to be. Your keyboard and your mouse, as from the setup video, are going to go to the top of the bag up here. Maybe clean up the cables a little bit. Doesn't need to be too clean, but clean is better. And then you're going to zip up the top. From here, you're going to take the computer, put it in the bag, put it so that the back of the computer is facing towards the foam. If you guys still have the foam, this is taken from the Oculus headset, so you might need to get additional foam. But you want the front flat facing towards the edge. That's just for extra protection. Place it to the front. It will be a little lopsided, but that's okay. When you pick up the bag, take the portable monitor, make it lengthwise all the way up, and place it in. This leaves room for your Oculus on the side here. Go from there, take your Oculus, unplug it so that there's no cords attached, as well as your controllers. Put it face down so that the lenses are up. And then the controllers can just go to the side of it, just like that. Then from here, you're gonna undo all the rest of your cords. So your computer power cable and the extension cord. Just wrap this up. Again, it is very long, so it might take a little bit. Again, the nicer the better. This is gonna go to the front. There's a lot of pockets, so I can recommend just putting this at the very front. The power cable, wrap that up. I recommend putting it in this little pocket here. Looks kind of like that, but personal preference, put it wherever you want. And then take your Oculus Link cable, also very long. Fold it up. Again, not very neat, but. And then I recommend putting that in this little front pocket here. Again, personal preference. So those are all your cords. And then you just zip it up. And then you would, this kind of goes into the teardown of the chair, but for the sake of the bag, you would unscrew your joystick. So rotate it counterclockwise, gently lift it up, very gently, and then place it in one of these side pockets here. It doesn't matter which one. And then clip that. Goes the top. Velcro the handles for extra safety. And you are now good to go. Again, this is kind of lopsided because the computer is on one side, so be very cautious when handling this computer and the bag, but you're good to go. All right, to start, first just take the pedals, remove them, careful of any wires. Just set them to the side. You can wrap the cord around the pedals like this to store it easily. And just set them aside.
Do the same for the joystick dock. Wrap it around a couple times to get the cable out of the way. You don't want this tripping you when you're carrying it. And I would suggest wrapping this underneath the cable you just wrapped so it's nice and tight.
Same thing with the throttle. First thing you want to do is go all the way forward. It's going to kind of stop here if you're not familiar with the throttle. From here, just lift the throttle up forward and press it all the way in. That puts it into max. You want it like this when moving it, and then wrap the cord around it so it's again out of the way, and then also tuck it underneath so it stays put.
For reiteration, because you are now moving the chair, you have to flip the pedal rack around. This will allow the chair to fold up a little bit nicer and make it easier to carry for all parties involved. So you undo the buttons, flip it around, put it back on. You're gonna have to put a little bit of pressure to get it on because it's not perfectly the same size. Redo the sides, click it on, it's good to go.
Now you're gonna want to undo the strap here because that'll help you secure the chair later on. Just undo it from the back. If you decided to put that on, set to the side.
You are now ready to start actually folding the chair. First, you undo the hooks on the side, just to make sure they don't get in the way. You then fold the chair forward from here.
Make sure it goes all the way forward.
All the way forward.
You're gonna have to, it won't go all the way forward until you unclasp the gears, just because it's locked.
Now, this is a racing chair, so there is this annoying little piece right here, so be cognizant of where this is. It will flip around, and every now and again, here, you can move it without one side. I'm gonna move it out of the way, just so it's not here. All right, now we can continue. The chair is down.
I'm gonna go all the way forward.
All right, now we're gonna undo both the side pieces like we showed you earlier, and we're gonna bring the legs forward and then lift it up. From here, there we go, it's in a folded position. Rotate the throttle and the joystick forward and lock them.
They will be a little flimsy and fly around a bit. Just keep your hand on them to keep them secure. Don't worry too much about it.
So now you have the kick bar is in, so it's this way. That's why we flip it around that way. It's not jutting straight out at us. The legs are up, meeting the top of the chair, and it's as folded as it can be. You now take this strap that we had earlier, and you cross it through the point, and you come back around, almost make an X with it.
Both the red holes.
Yeah, both red holes, make an X. Clip it together, and tighten it down. Oh, it's got to flip around. Tighten it down as much as you reasonably can. So now the chair is ready to be transported. You'll have the cross in the back. Take the extra and just kind of wrap it somewhere out of the way. And here's what it'll look from the other side. As you can see, the throttle is all the way forward. These are out of the way, and the reason we put these like this is you're supposed to carry it with this facing you. That way you're cognizant of where these are. I usually suggest holding it by the gearboxes, and you can move it around as such.
And then the other person, you're working with two people, ideally, again, be cognizant of the lopsided weight of the bag. Very carefully pick it up, put it on. You can also strap yourself in if you want this little clip, not necessary. And then very carefully pick up the pedals, and now you're good to transport your sim bag.